Oh, hello. You're here. Welcome to Live Aim. We have a few things to talk about tonight. The first thing I want to get over is, or go over, is kind of why we're here, our product, if you will. You have to know your product to do solicitation. You have to know why you're here. You have to be able to sell that product. You have to believe in that product. I know many of you don't know Chase Templeton. You never had the opportunity to meet Kathleen Templeton. And so this may be something harder to buy into. You got a bunch of people really hoping you do well, and that may put some pressure on you, especially if you don't care. I mean, I understand, but let's change that. I'm gonna read a little bit from For Mother with Love, written by Kenneth Fine, a former brother. He wrote this as a newspaper article, and we read it every year at Pink Tie in memory, and to remind us of why we do this. And I think that this excerpt I'm about to read you summarizes a good portion of it, but it really doesn't explain the whole article. I can't help but cheer up most times I read it. So as soon as you're done with the video, read For Mother with Love if you really want to know what's the meaning. But let's do this part. It was the fall of 2006, and the young man faced another drive to Lynchburg. The thing I thought about most was the last time I saw her, Chase said. She was in the hospital with all the IVs attached to her and everything. I talked to her the day before. I think it was a Thursday. I talked to her on the phone. She told me she wanted me in Lynchburg right now. The next day I packed up and went home, he added. I don't think she actually thought I was going to be there. I walked into her room, just seen her face light up as soon as I walked in that room, just laying in that hospital bed with her, knowing she was in so much pain. That's probably something I'll never forget. Kathleen Templeton died on September 20th, 2006, at the age of 47. Word quickly reached the brothers at the lodge, and with each phone call, as brothers passed the news from brother to brother, another tear was shed. Brothers Adam Johnson, Jacob Davis, Tyler Lowry, Trey Breaker, Mikhail Sutton, and Pledge Daniel Gray did not waste any time. They printed out directions and headed for Virginia. When I was home, I was expecting it to just be me and my family, Chase said. I was starting to feel kind of alone. To have those 5 or 6 guys pull together and say, we're coming to Lynchburg for you, no matter what. For them to just show up, that feeling is indescribable. I wasn't expecting anything like it from these guys. The outpouring of support, it didn't stop there. That semester, the 12-man pledge class raised more than $1,200 to the Susan G. Komen Foundation in memory of Kathleen Templeton. Those 12 men had given of themselves to ensure a woman they had never known was never forgotten. We do this in memory of 2 things: Kathleen Templeton and all those who were affected by breast cancer, and in memory of, let's say, the human endeavor and triumph and hope, and what those men were capable of for someone they barely knew, for barely a year. So let's remember that as we think about our motives for getting items. So on hopefully a lighter note and an easier note, let's talk about let's say 6. The 6 things to think about to have a successful item picking. So the first thing to get over is the fear of no. Most people are hesitant. I think some people even just don't understand what they're kind of getting into. They see this sheet of paper that kind of tells them a list of things to think about and what to ask, but it's pretty overwhelming. So rule number 1, practice, 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 practice. You have to practice. Look in the mirror. Hell, I did this video like 12 times before I got past minute 4. So just got to practice. It'll get better, it'll get better, it'll get better. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, they're going to say no sometimes. It's just going to happen. They're bound to have either donated items, run out of time. There's deadlines. Sometimes it takes a full month to get appropriations from corporate, headquarters and stuff. Sometimes it just takes time. People just had tough years. When I ran it in 2009, I mean, we made a profit, but I remember item donation was tough. I mean, it was, the economy. So, it's possible, even in the toughest of times. You just got to remember, a couple of these things. You can't be afraid of no, and you got to be positive. You got to be happy. You got to be positive. You got to be sure that there's a way to help this person. You got to be sure that they're going to know that what we're providing them and what they're providing us is going to benefit them. And the best way to do that is by being positive, with a smile, being friendly. I think the third thing we need to talk about, which this is probably the first thing you need to do when you walk in the doors, but make sure they know why you're there. We don't want to make it a surprise that, ooh, he's here for an item. Make it known at first. It might even save you time. I'd probably go with something like, hello, my name is X. I'm a brother of Kai Sai, and I'm here on behalf of our Pink Tie Benefit Ball. I just wanted to know, have you or anyone you know been affected by cancer or breast cancer? More than likely, I mean, nowadays you don't die of anything but cancer, it seems. I mean, people get diabetes and other ailments, I understand, but we typically live long enough that most of our family members, or us ourselves, are going to know somebody at least that has had cancer or was affected by it, right? So, right there, we're able to bring them into the conversation. So, this is when the silence technique comes in. So, we've already hooked them with asking them a question that there's a great chance they're going to say yes to, which puts us in the position to say, oh, really? Silence is awkward. So, naturally, they're probably going to respond. You don't have to just say, oh, really? But you can say, oh, really? How was that? How were you affected? And again, the silence, it brings them back into the conversation. They can tell you how they were affected. And then right there, we have a connection. So we're that much more likely. I mean, see how small that gap is? I'll say that much more likely. we're so much more likely to get a donation that way. But beyond that, make sure they know why you're there. Make sure that it's not a surprise. And make sure that you connect with them. By the way, people will say no to that question. And I gotta tell you, just wing it. Sometimes you just got to introduce the topic yourself. What's something else to talk about? Oh, their time's important to them. There's one thing that I think worked best for me. I don't know if it worked best for most people, but I was very comfortable just walking in the store, acting like I was a customer, looking at items and figuring out items like ties or bow ties or what have be. But 10, 15, 20, $25 items, sometimes $50 items, just anything really, I mean, not everyone's going to donate a painting, but some people are willing to donate gift cards. But get an idea of what they have that's donatable and that's simple. And then when you go to ask for a manager and you talk to that manager, you can say, people typically donate items like X and Y and Z. And if they have X, Y, and Z, well shit, we're that much closer to getting a donation. Because we've already connected with them and we already know that they have something that they can give us. But also we want to be quick. Remember, I just said their time is important, so like yours, we don't want to take up a lot. I've already taken up quite a bit now. I think the last thing that we really, really need to go over is that make sure that, and I think I illustrated this before, but make sure that this is going to be a positive impact for this business. We're going to have a lot of local students there. I don't know exactly how much promoting y'all have done on campus, but based on that, people know about this event. Maybe people are enticed by knowing that, their name's going to be associated with this type of event. Explain to them it's going to be a formal event. We decided to make it more elegant, to rise ourselves above and just, I don't know, let's say petty, easy charities. We wanted to do something harder and do something grander, and I think we do. I think we excel at it. So let's try to keep it up. And the last thing, actually, is be comfortable. If you're tense, if you're not sure what you're going to say, if you're perhaps leaning at them, if you're not really facing them, you know, all of these things show, I don't know, they're just kind of offs. They put people off. We want to be friendly. We're social. We're in a social fraternity. I bet the only reason you're in this fraternity is because you were able to be social. If you're not social, I don't know who you talk to, because you probably didn't, right? You gotta be social to talk. So let's remember that we're social people. So if you can't go talk to someone to get a donation, I don't think you're being very social. I think you're being very antisocial. And just remember, what do you have to fear? Nope. It's not much. Alright guys, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, call me, or just post on the comments below, alright? Have a good night. Oh, you like my dinosaurs?